Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Fantasy Fitnessing. I just wanted to say hello and thank you to everybody for following along with us and playing fantasy games over at Fantasy Fitnessing. We're a couple weeks away from kicking things off from the 2023 season, and just kind of want to give a bit of an update of where we're going as the season approaches. So, as a bit of a background, we kicked off Fantasy Fitnessing back in January 2020 with the Mayhem Classic being our first fantasy game that we ran with a dozen or so of our friends from the gym, and have grown from there. So it's been great to see everybody joining us and following along, and just hearing the positive feedback of how you're enjoying playing the games. So back then it was the sanctional season. We thought it'd be a fun way to follow along with the 25 or so competitions that were going to be over the course of the year, as well, just kind of from a personal interest standpoint, building things out to learn about some of these other athletes, since there wasn't a single spot anywhere you could go to see how an athlete had did it in an entire suite of competitions, since everything was piecemeal on the game side, or you'd have to go to individual competition leaderboards. Kind of had the idea to build everything together just so you could see all of Patrick Vellner's results in one single spot. You didn't need to go poking around on the internet to find them. So built that out as long as the fantasy games over the past few years. As the CrossFit Games season shifted from sanctionals to semifinals, we're seeing the number of competitions over the course of the season decrease as that that game structure or game season model matures a bit. So from 25 or so competitions that we would have seen a few years ago under sanctionals, we're only seeing 6 weekends of competition now in the CrossFit Games season underneath the 2023 structure, and then probably a handful of elite competitions that we see in the off season. So Madrid, Dubai, Rogue, Wadapalooza, Down Under are kind of the ones we're targeting for fantasy games this year. Fingers crossed we see a return of the West Coast Classic or Granite Games, those semi-final competitions that are no longer, with CrossFit taking it over. So hopefully we can still get 12, 15 competitions this year from a fantasy game perspective, since it's always fun to play and follow along there. But again, just with the decrease in competitions, I'm going to be spending a little bit more time on the stats and analytics side of things. So just to not muddy the waters of what account is what, or what we're doing at Fantasy Fitnessing, Fantasy Fitnessing will stay and remain focused on the fantasy sports aspect of things. A lot of competition specific content, rankings, salary cap games, those types of things. And then we've started a new endeavor on the analytics and stats side of it, called Fran Lung Analytics on Instagram. So taking all the data we have now from competitions and kind of starting to build that out, giving anybody who has that interest or wanting to dig deep into an athlete's competition history or some of the statistics on who excels at certain events or movements, building out that site that gives you the ability to dive in if you want to be a CrossFit analyst, giving you tools and the data available that you can go in and build those out yourself. So look for a little bit more on that. So on Instagram, follow us at Fran Lung Analytics, and then all the data is being built on over at franlung.com. Makes it a bit easier when you do want to Google something at work. I think fantasyfitnessing.com is the type of website that IT guys around the world are training you not to click at work. So don't want anybody to get red flagged there. So visit us over at franlung.com. Give us a follow on Fran Lung Analytics. Starting to kick off a bunch of data and statistics ahead of the Open. And then stay tuned on fantasyfitnessing.com. And Fantasy Fitnessing will be kicking off our fantasy game for the CrossFit Open here shortly. So again, thanks for joining us. It means a lot to us to see everybody following along and the comments about how you enjoy what we're doing there. So we definitely appreciate you joining us for this. So with that, thank you, and hope to see you on the leaderboard in 2023.